Hi everyone, thank you so much for having us here participate today. And apologies if we couldn't connect live, but we're really grateful for the organizers to having allowed us to record this video and share our experience. My name is Benedict and I'm here on behalf of Nativa. And before I kind of start sharing everything that we have to say today, just a few words about who Nativa is. So we are an Italian company based out of Milan and Rome. However, we operate not only in Italy, but also throughout Europe, and we work as well with large multinationals around the world. And we were born out of the natural step quite a few years back. We define ourselves as regenerative designers and purpose activators. So I'll explain a bit throughout the video what that really means and how we enact this definition of Nativa. Nativa is also a company that has over 20 years experience on topics of sustainability and regeneration. We're a very diverse team of different experts, from scientists to engineers to architects to marketeers to businessmen and women that really put their passion and their expertise to the service of this big transition that we're living. So what we do really is to help legacy leaders, so they are basically business leaders that have understood that they need and they wish to leave a legacy in the world through their businesses, but they're not really, they might be a bit lost and not really know exactly how to do it, where to start, who to engage, etc. So the ethos in Nativa really is to support these legacy leaders by having them embrace radicality. And that's really important because we really believe that if you embrace radicality, then the evolution and the transition you want to guide will naturally flow, right? So we do that by giving them very, what we call powerful tools. Different tools that we either develop ad hoc or that we utilize from past experiences, but also human inspiration. The human inspiration, especially when we want to drive deep transformative paths, is fundamental to create a common engagement around a clear purpose and new direction. So I've spoken about tools and human inspiration, which will be two key pillars really. These are the two key pillars that we activate in Nativa. And I'll explain a bit more about each of them. So from a tools point of view, really, we are rooted into the scientific research of the natural step, being born out of the natural step. That's only normal. And Nativa is actually still the Italian subsidiary of the natural step. And we therefore share some common frameworks, such as, for example, the one of backcasting. But Nativa, as I said earlier on, we are regenerative designers. So that means we also design new tools in order to service the transition and to support our clients into kind of designing these frameworks, so to accompany them in the best way possible. Also because, as we know, we need to kind of constantly innovate to make sure we're upping the game in terms of social and environmental impact. Another key tool that we utilize as well to kind of design these paths of change, these journeys of change, is a tool that was developed by the nonprofit B Lab, which is called the B Impact Assessment, or also called BIA. After many years of research and having kind of lived in the sustainability and regenerative sphere for so many years, we really recognize in the BIA, so the B Impact Assessment, one of the most robust tool there is currently out there to measure the social and environmental impact of a company today. It's a holistic tool, so it allows us to really kind of understand throughout all the key areas of the company, maybe its governance, how it manages its employees, how it impacts the community in which it operates, its environmental policies and footprint, how it interacts also with its customers. So through a 360 analysis, it really understands how holistically the company kind of manages its social and environmental impact. So when this tool, the way we use it is whenever we have a new company come contact us, it's really the step number one. We utilize the assessment to, first of all, we do like a profiling. So every assessment is as customized as possible to the company that we are about to assess, based on, you know, the geographical scope, the size of the revenues, the number of employees, the industry in which it operates, etc. And based on all of these criteria, we have an assessment which is as tailored as possible to them. The assessment goes into all these different areas that I've previously described to be able to measure what we call an impact score. So where are we at today? Where is that company at today in terms of social and environmental impact? The score ranges from 0 to 200 points. And when you earn 80 points, that's when the company is considered to be sustainable. So that's really a break even, okay? If the company is above 80 points, we consider that it is entering a regenerative paradigm, meaning that through its operations and its business model, it has, it creates more value than the total sum of the resources it has to use in order to be able to operate. On the reverse, if you're below 80 points, then we consider that you have an extractive business model. Therefore, you utilize more resources than you actually give back. And what Nativa does once we've kind of assessed the company and we've understood where we're at in terms of this kind of impact score ranking, we create ad hoc strategies that are that embed themselves into the corporate strategy in order to include sustainability principles and build new frameworks that allows this company to organically evolve and implement improvements in order to constantly kind of improve their impact scores. So if they're extractive, therefore they'll reach little by little the 80 points mark or the break even. If they're above, it's a real source of innovation and to try to find new ways to constantly improve the social and environmental impacts of the company. So the goal really here is to make sure that business, which are here to drive profit, okay, serve a greater role and utilize this kind of profit generation in order to service humanity and the planet through their operations and their business models. So these are like the key tools or our approach, systemic approach to change. However, as I said earlier on, the human inspiration piece is really important too. And therefore our ambition as well through everything that we do is to have that change of paradigm, the change of cultural mindset of traditional businesses so that they can, embed these principles, sustainability and regenerative principles within the organization and allowing them also to inspire both in and outside of the company. So really all its ecosystem. So, the tools are, I would say, the mechanism, but the human inspiration is like the envelope that kind of allows to or the powerhouse, I would say, that allows to kind of drive everybody in a unique direction. So because we cannot really unite a team in radical changes if we don't activate the common purpose that ties the group together. And we find that many organizations might have a purpose which is already defined or which is a bit lagging, is existent but isn't really leveraged to its maximum, to its full potential. Other companies do not have a common purpose at all, and therefore we help them kind of try to understand what it is. And we do that through kind of deep conversations with different stakeholders of the company to understand what is this kind of common denominator that allows to kind of, unite the group. And once the purpose is kind of clarified, we use that as the main lever of engagement to activate the transition. Really, it's like the fil rouge that allows to to activate the whole team around these tools and these strategies that we're putting into place. we really find that the purpose activation is really one of the most powerful vehicle that you can find, because it's really rooted in the group's humanity. So I've very briefly described, how Nativa has, and the core of our business really is within the business sphere. However, our purpose as change makers is greater and goes beyond. We believe that we have also a responsibility to influence different stakeholders in our country, Italy. And that's how we want to really kind of help this transition towards a regenerative paradigm, and the evolution as well that the overall kind of system needs today. And the way we do that, there are different ways we actually take part into that greater mission that we have. The first one is very much linked. I spoke about earlier about BCorp and BLab. And a first pillar really rotates around that, because Nativa was the first B Corp outside of the US. We certified in 2013. So we were really the first B Corp in Europe. And with that came the role of country partner for Italy. And so since then, we've been creating a community. We've been kind of influencing businesses and helping businesses in order for them to certify B Corp and join the movement. So today we're roughly 125 companies in Italy, which is a very dynamic community. And really our role as country partner is to animating this vibrant network and making sure that we leverage all of our energy, our passion, common vision, and different expertise, to be able to influence the ecosystem in Italy and kind of advance on topics which are linked to sustainability and regeneration. An example of that is that we are leading different working groups that are, formed of different of different B Corps that come together and work on a topic. And there are three topics that are currently really active. One around education called Unlock Education, which is really about how do we incorporate sustainability topics in the general education of the new generations. A second topic is around gender equality and advocating and kind of supporting the gender pay gap evolution. And the third one is creating a coalition around carbon neutrality. So really, these are the three kind of work streams that we're working on as a community to hopefully kind of make sure that Italy kind of progresses on these topics, or at least be a center of influence. A second point linked to the B Corp and B Corp network, I would say, is that we were also the first benefit corporation outside of the US. This really came about like in 2015 when we saw the benefit corporation law in the US, which we thought really inspiring because it allowed to add a double purpose in the corporate bylaws. And that means that your company, you're writing in your articles of associations that your company is not only made to drive profit, but also to serve another purpose, right? Which would be social and or environmental. And that really kind of met the philosophy of Nativa. And we thought, okay, this is amazing. We need to change our bylaws as well so that we have the double purpose. So we started rewriting our bylaws and submitting them to the Chamber of Commerce of Milan with this kind of double purpose, okay, profit and positive social impact. And it got refused actually not once, not twice, but actually 4 times. And because at the time in 2015, it was absolutely unlawful to have a double purpose or double purpose in the status and the bylaws. And after probably kind of tiring the committees, we started working with the senator and designing a new law for Italy in order to be able to incorporate benefit corporations, which are called società benefit in Italy. And so in the end, we managed to pass the law, and in 2016, it got enacted. And we were born as the first società benefit or benefit corporation. And again, here we're doing everything that we can in our power to kind of spread the good word about benefit corporations. And today we are roughly 1,000 benefit corporations in Italy. Another area where we utilize, our expertise to drive regeneration is on cities and territories. For example, we have worked recently with the city of Parma in the northeast of Italy, where the city wanted to kind of connect its different stakeholders in order to create a vision for the city for 2030. So we kind of created this massive work stream where we got hundreds of stakeholders together from the most diverse, from different generations, citizens from different generations, from policymakers, from entrepreneurs, etc., come together and design a common vision that they have for Parma 2030. That allowed to give a shared consensus, but also to put together, what are the key priorities that we want to put into place in order to actually get to this common vision that we have for 2030. A last example that I'd like to share on how can we activate regeneration, also, and how do we participate to that as Nativa. We were co-founders, or we are co-founders still today, actually, of the Regenerative Society Foundation, which was born in 2020, so in the middle of COVID. And we have founded this foundation alongside with great other businesses, Italian and non, such as Chiesi Pharmaceuticals, Il Caffè, Davines, but also Lombardondier, or other, important European companies. The presidents of the Regenerative Society Foundations are Andrea Illy from Il Caffè and the great Professor Jeffrey Sachs, whom I'm sure everybody knows here in the audience as well. The Regenerative Society Foundation really was born to promote the transition of society towards regenerative society, social and economic models. The foundation is unique, really, and the strength of the foundation lies into this kind of multilateral coalition of global leaders that come from all paths of the world, made also of entrepreneurs, policymakers, academics, spiritual leaders, civil society, governmental and non-governmental organizations. And that's really kind of, as I said, the strength and the uniqueness of the foundation. The purpose of the foundation is to strive with compassion, wisdom in order to encourage the building of a new era, understanding as well that, happiness and human well-being will be at the core and is at the core of economic and political drivers throughout the world, really. It's a common denominator. So the macro objective, all in all, is really to kind of develop and especially institutionalize a regenerative economy. And an example of how we're starting to put this into place is that we're currently working on like a directory, a guide in which we kind of gather all different experiences with respect to how to build a regenerative world. And this is really to kind of to share experiences and guide stakeholders around the world to participate to building a regenerative economy. So I will now pass on to my last comments and leave you to the rest of the agenda for today. But really, in Nativa, we are profoundly united as humans and change makers. We believe that this is what unites us into this great mission that we have today. And we often remind ourselves about like a way that Indian Americans, Native Americans used to say that, or used to utilize their definition of sustainability, right? So it's not about basically inheriting from our ancestors and trying to protect what we inherited, but really understanding that what we have today, you know, nature, our communities, the world around us, is borrowed from the future generations. And if we remember that, this is kind of with great respect and the willingness to preserve what there is today for the future generations, because really whatever we will leave is what they will have, right? So we are really borrowing from them, and we should respect that. And that's really how why regeneration is so important for us in Nativa. I thank you so much for your time and for listening to this video. Hopefully there are a few elements and tips that you thought were inspiring, and we would love to continue the conversation at some point in time. Have a great end of the day, and thank you so much once again.